Hello, everyone, and welcome to Schmidt List. I am your host, Kurt Schmidt. I am excited for today's show because we are going to be talking about all things marketing today, especially marketing as a career. And I've got my good friend Alan who's going to be joining us. Before I do that, I do want to jump in and mention, speaking of careers, my new book, The Little Book of Networking, is available now on Amazon. So go and check it out. I'm really excited about it. Okay. All right. So I want to introduce my friend Alan. Alan, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Kurt. Thank you for the invite, and I'm really thrilled to be here with you.
I'm excited you're here because I've learned so much in our conversations over the past, and I'm excited to share your knowledge with the audience. So tell me a little bit about who you work for, what's the work you do? Could you share that?
Sure. So, the name of my company is Demand Revenue, just like it sounds, demandrevenue.com. And I started it 3 years ago. I've been a CMO now 10 times, seven full time, and three since I started my business 3 years ago. And I really do three things. I mentor and advise and coach heads of marketing, marketing leaders, and CMOs, as I did when I spent 6 years at Serious Decisions in Forrester, where I mentored over 130 marketing leaders and CMOs. And I love doing that. That's part of what I do. I'm also an interim or fractional CMO. So in the past 3 years, I've been an interim CMO at three companies. And I help CMOs and marketing leaders with projects, and also chief customer officers with projects. My clients are typically private equity owned companies that are north of 100 million into the billions. So I've worked with a lot of portfolio companies of private equity firms, a couple of public companies. In one case, it was an emerging company that was funded by a venture firm as well.
Very cool. Sounds like you get a lot of variety there.
It's fun. I really enjoy what I do. It's great
Yeah.
being a
Well,
solopreneur.
so I wanted to speak to you today specifically about how to become a CMO because I know a lot of folks, and I've worked with a lot of CMOs, but they all have varied backgrounds. Nobody really has sort of this set trajectory where they went through early CMO training out of high school or something. It doesn't seem to exist, Alan. So if I'm interested as a career path to be the chief marketing officer in an organization, where do I start? Especially if I'm sort of, in a mid-management role, maybe I'm newer to marketing, or
Yeah.
maybe I'm just exploring marketing and I'm seeing where does my career go from here? What are the things I should be thinking about?
Well, I'm not the best example of a straight career path. I've had a very circuitous career path. I got my master's in finance, my undergrad and my master's in finance, and I started there and did some consulting and market research, then product marketing, then retail channel marketing. Then I got some sales experience. And then I was recruited by a competitor to run marketing, was my second marketing management role. I'm a person that I didn't even get a degree in marketing. I took marketing courses, but my degrees were in finance. And what I would say in general is the diversity has always helped me. My finance background, the time I spent in sales, the time I spent in marketing. So, what I would advise, and I do this a lot, I advise, mentor, coach marketing leaders and aspiring marketing leaders. I've helped a lot of marketing leaders become CMOs, and I've mentored a lot of CMOs, really hundreds. I would say get some diversity. If you're in a part of marketing, let's say demand or marketing communications or customer marketing, you name it, move between different functions within marketing, but not just in marketing. If you can get some sales experience, some customer
Mm,
success experience, even maybe some finance experience. The melange of creative and analytical skills has always helped me. I wrote a blog about that. Successful CMOs, I think, need to be really good orchestra conductors. They have to be really good at the jazz, which is creative, and also the analytical, which is like classical. and you have to be able to bring them together. So, I mean, in general, what I would say is, you know, it's really helpful in your career to get diversity. Think of yourself as a business person. It's easy to get caught up in marketing speak and a lot of terms that maybe others don't use, but learn the language of business. And in fact, I taught some courses at a local university. I'm in the Boston area at Emerson College, some graduate courses on how you speak to CFOs and CEOs to get your marketing programs approved. And, you know, it's speaking their language, and learning the numbers. I remember it was a very global class, all of these, and they were all scared of numbers. And I said, it's just algebra. But, you should speak the language of business, not just marketing speak. Don't be insular. And, when you look at some of the metrics that are used in marketing, you've got activity metrics that show how busy marketing is, how many emails you send out, or how many press releases. No one at the C suite cares. They only care what the results are of those
Right.
activities. So think in terms of results and think in terms of the business. And the more you do that, and the more you get a diverse background, I would say those are some really important things to think about in your career. That's
That makes
helpful.
sense. The thing that I see people struggle with though, especially if they are line working marketing people, right? They're doing paid media, they're doing copywriting, they're doing whatever the case may be. The idea of taking taking time out of their day to learn these new things. Where do I learn where do I start to learn these things about the business? Do I go to the CMO of my company and say I want to learn these areas of the business? Do I go get an MBA? Like I hear people throwing out so many different ideas. When you talk about diversity, how diverse are we talking here?
It's good to have a mentor, and any good leader will welcome your desire to get more experience in different areas because that will make you a more valuable and successful employee over time. And if they're not, maybe you're not in the right place. They just
Right.
want you to nail down and just be
Yeah.
the social media person forever or creating web pages or whatever. And they don't understand that you really want to learn more. You may not be in the right place. And, these days, I've moved around tons of times in my career. And I think, you will too, because the economy has changed. And I've been with a number of companies. This is the first time I've been a solopreneur for the past 3 years. And I absolutely love it. I love what I do. But, you know, you have to make sure you're in the right place. If people aren't helping you with your career, don't be afraid to take risks. You have to take risks in your career. And my favorite quote is from Winston Churchill. And it's the definition of success is moving from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. So you may have setbacks in your career, but always stay focused and always stay positive, and that will serve you well,
Yeah,
in
it
my
makes
opinion.
sense. I think if you're not getting served the type of diverse exposure to different types of things, that's you should be seeking things outside of the organization. There's lots of marketing
Yes.
communities out there. Every major city has some marketing meetups of some kind
Yeah.
where professionals are getting together and communicating and talking with each other. So seeking those things out, I think, are really huge. They work in all aspects of business, but marketing
Absolutely.
especially. I feel that because there is a little bit of black magic that goes into marketing just in general, right?
There
It's
is.
oh sure. We could have a whole show about that.
I know.
And so with that, I think there is a inherent insecurity in some people's work because you can't necessarily predict the customer, the end user, or whoever you're targeting, their behavior 100% of the time, right? So having those support systems outside of your organization, if you're not finding them there, I have always found
Yeah.
super valuable.
I couldn't agree more. I'm in tons of CMO groups and also fractional groups, and the imposter syndrome is alive and well. So, yes, you can get a lot from these groups, but, good leaders will have an interest in you personally and helping you with your career. And if not, you know, it's not the only place to work, as scary as that
Nope.
might be. And, I've never made a change where I didn't think it was for the better. So
But it wasn't, but they're all scary, right?
It can be scary, but after a couple of scary things and you see success, you learn that, that's how you grow. You
Yeah, for
grow
sure.
by taking risks. I've done that a few times in my career, and that's where I took the most like, I was in marketing, I was doing really well in marketing and different marketing positions at Xerox early in my career, and I took a risk and I went into sales because at Xerox, if you didn't go into sales, that you weren't as appreciated. So, I took a 20% pay cut. I went into sales. I took a territory, a large territory. The first year, I more than made up that 20%. I think I made another 20% on top. The second year, I doubled my income. And I learned, hey, I really love sales, and the experience I've had in my career on the finance side and on the sales side, both have helped me be a better marketing person and eventually a better CMO and general manager across my career.
So you mentioned, obviously marketing degrees, right? So maybe let's talk to some of the people that are thinking about they want to make a move into marketing. Is a marketing degree necessary? Like, or what's the equivalent in your experience for those folks? What would you advise somebody thinking about making a career switch into marketing?
Well, I made a career switch from finance to marketing, and I did it kind of through the market research area because market research was quantitative. So I started as a financial and operational analysis after getting a master's in marketing. Then I went into internal consulting and then market research. And market research got me, exposure to different product marketing groups. Then I went into product marketing and channel marketing, sales, and then I was recruited to another company, a competitor, in a higher level marketing position, and that kind of projected me to CMO roles later on. So given that I don't have a degree in marketing, I'm probably not the best person to say, but other than to say, if you want to get into marketing, you don't necessarily have to have a degree in marketing. Marketing is probably the least understood function, and most people think they know what marketing is but don't. So I would say, join some networking groups, do some research, do some studying on what you think marketing is and how you can get an entree to it is probably the best advice I can give. But it's not
Yeah,
that hard
I
if you want to.
yeah, and again, there's nothing to say that you can't go to some of these marketing meetups and groups if you're not a marketer, right? Like
Oh yeah.
they're not going to there's no marketing card you got to check at the
No,
doors.
no,
You
you'll
can
be
go and
welcome.
talk to some of those people, right? And even certain organizations are very open to informational interviews, especially for young people to go in and just find out what are the roles there, what do they do, those
Absolutely.
sorts of things. So, being proactive, I think, has always been helpful to get that education on, well, I really like this type of company and I really like the work that they do, the values that they have. What would it take to get a job there? Don't just go off the job descriptions. I mean, you can reach out and get an informational interview, right? Um,
Best way is through networking, applying to the black hole online. And
yeah,
here's a
right.
little tip. I once got a CMO role by doing this. Go back to the university you graduated from, undergrad or grad, go to their alumni database, do a lookup of titles of people you'd want to work for and see who you and whatever geography you're interested in. You could do a zip code and 100 miles or whatever. And you'll find a lot of interesting people that are alums, and the alum connection is really strong. Usually in these alumni databases, you've got both their personal and business information. So if you see some interesting companies and interesting titles, whether it's CEO or CMO, and you want to contact them, if you're an alum, it'll be a lot easier to have an informational interview with them.
That's smart. I like that a lot. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you're doing right now as the solopreneurship. So I also have seen over the last few years more and more of what we call the gig economy happening. And w- what was your motivation to move into that space? And what would be your recommendation for people maybe that are considering that as a future option?
I was with Serious Decisions. Decisions was a go-to-market advisory firm for the sales, marketing, and product function. So
Very
what I did
successful
over
firm.
6 years is I mentored, advised, and coached CMOs and marketing leaders and VPs of marketing, which I learned that I loved after having been a CMO a number of times. And then we were acquired by Forrester, and Forrester had a different culture that was a lot more siloed and insular. And what I loved most about Serious Decisions was helping VPs of marketing and CMOs not make all of the same mistakes I've made my whole career, and mentoring them. And also, I had responsibility for all of our healthcare segments because part of my background's in healthcare. So I work with all the global sales organizations and made healthcare our fastest growth segments and best retention. After Forrester took us over, after a time, they weren't as segment focused and they wanted analysts basically to generate IP to write all the time. I did some of that, but doing that all the time for me would be like watching paint dry. So I stayed on with Forrester 2 years and then I left after 2 years to start my own business and, consulting business. And I've never been happier. I'm making a lot more money and I've got great clients and there's some ups and downs, but I love what I'm doing. I love helping people. I love helping heads of marketing or marketing leaders and CMOs be successful in their endeavor, both with their marketing skills and also social skills and align with the other functions like sales and customer success and finance. And what I would say, and this is important in your career also, the further you get in your career, what you know is about 50% of your value. Who you know is it your network is at least 50%, if not more. So there are a lot more kind of fractional CMOs and CSOs and other functions these days, and that's been growing quite a bit. It's really been exploding. But a really important part of the success there is your network and people that know you that you can reach out to for informational interviews when you start your own gig. But I've never been happier. I love what I'm doing. I'm not wasting time on interview cycles and I won't anymore. I'm helping people and I'm helping both heads of marketing, CMOs, and I'm helping organizations be successful by either leading marketing or doing projects.
Well, funny thing is that people don't really talk about as much too is that I've seen very successful people move into coaching, consulting roles, and within a year, they're getting money thrown at them to go work full time at some place that they were helping. So
Yeah.
it's also not a bad way to find that next gig either, is it?
It could be, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not looking for that, but I know a lot of people that have found full-time gigs by doing that. So, and you're getting
Yeah.
money while looking too, but it's important
Well,
to decide, what direction you want to go.
yeah. Well, it's better than sitting on your butt, sending out resumes into a black box and waiting for someone to pick you for a date, right?
Sure is. And with recruiters, you have to be Cinderella. You have to be wearing the glass slipper. You've got to be perfect. So, yeah,
Well,
ton of time on recruiters. Maybe 10 or 15% of your job search if you're in job search mode. But you're going to get it through networking. That's most likely people that know you.
yeah. Okay, well, the last thing I want to ask you about is obviously there's the big AI thing we have to talk about in marketing. And as you're coaching CMOs and things, I'm sure a lot of them are exploring and trying to learn, what does this mean? How does this affect our roles? Because
Yes.
it seems a lot of marketers feel like there's a bit of a target on their back when it comes to AI. I just want to get your thoughts and perspective on generative AI and its impact in the industry right now, and what you're seeing in the future. What are the people you're talking to? What are they exploring? I just love to get your 2 cents.
Like any really disruptive technology like AI and ML it's not going to go away. It's the future. So, you know, we have to become good promptologists. You have to learn how to do prompts in AI. And like anything else, it's a very powerful tool if it's used correctly. It can make you more productive. I'm not so worried about eliminating jobs, although, some of that may happen. But if you're not learning AI now and learning how to do prompts effectively, you're going to be at a big disadvantage because it's not going anywhere. It's going to be the way of the future and it's happening really fast. AI is exploding faster than almost any technology that's come our way in the
Mm,
last 50 years. I mean, even the internet. If you look at the investment, some companies are faster at acquiring than others. It's not just marketing. It's really all the functions.
yeah.
Boards are looking at it, but get on the bandwagon because it's not going anywhere. Learn how to do prompts and experiment. And that goes not only for people in different functions in marketing, but CMOs as well. They need to be good leaders and role models, and they need to learn it and use it themselves. You don't have to be an expert on everything, but there are a lot of ways you can get training, a lot of really good people that can provide training in marketing and other functions on AI and ML. But take it seriously because it's not going anywhere. It's going to accelerate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, take it with a grain of salt too, because I mean, I remember when Photoshop released, people thought there's not going to be any need for photographers. When Illustrator was released, we're not going to need illustrators anymore. There's always some sort of disruptive sort of technology that's going to be happening, and you've got to be able, just like you said, not to be afraid of it, but you need to understand it and spend some time
Yes.
learning about it and testing it and trying it out for yourself, right?
I liken it to, and maybe this isn't the best analogy. People used to talk about the paperless office. And I used to tell people, we'll have the paperless office when we have the paperless bathroom.
Right.
Not going to happen. There'll always be a need for paper. You know, there will be disruption, but it's not going to disrupt everything. Learn it, spend some time,
Yeah.
make it part of your education, and it'll
Oh
be
yeah.
fun.
I remember during the pandemic, people were saying, well, a lot of agencies, and our people were asking to go to 4-day work weeks because that's where a lot of agencies were. And I said,
Yeah.
we will absolutely go to 4-day work weeks once our clients go to 4-day work weeks.
Yep.
And and that's it. But back to your point about the paperless office is that there's lots of paper still in
Oh
offices,
yeah.
and Xerox still exists, and there's still a need. They still sell a lot of printers out there, right?
And fax is still out there too. Believe it or not,
Sure.
after years. Yeah.
After all of these years, I had to actually fax something last year. It was a really nostalgic experience having to do that.
I used to be in that business years ago. In fact, when I was at Xerox, I was on the team that created the first plain paper fax when they were all
Ooh,
thermal. That was my first experience with a disruptive technology innovation. Took over
you
the whole
didn't
market.
you didn't have that weird carbon roll thing
Right.
anymore. Oh, I remember how fragile those things were.
That's right. Exactly. People
Well,
hated it.
they did. So, Alan, if I want to get in touch with you, if I want to learn more about the services you provide, if I want to follow
Sure.
the work you're doing, where's a great place to find you and find out more?
The best place would be to go to my website, which is demandrevenue.com, just how it sounds. That's the easiest way. And my easiest email, because no one can spell my name, is ag@demandrevenue.com.
Awesome. Well, Alan, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much, Kurt.
Great. All right, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join me. Isn't Alan great? He's fantastic, right? So, if you have interest in growing your career, well, this is a great spot to find more info. Is this book, The Little Book of Networking, available on Amazon? So, go and check it out. Thank you for your time this week. We'll see you next time.